A car is driving fast. Two brown cows are grazing on the side of the road. Everything is normal until one of them jumps in front of the car. The driver couldn't brake in time, and the collision occurred. The large cow was thrown into the air by the impact, somersaulting before landing on the ground. This clash between urban life and nature serves as a reminder that roads are not just for humans. The truck was driving along its own path when the bear crossed its path. The bear tried to cross the road but was unable to do so before the collision. The truck hit the bear, but it had decided to keep going without stopping. The bear suddenly found itself in another forest. The little bear stumbled back into the forest and disappeared among the trees. This moment caused us a momentary confusion. In the United States, a car is trying to get somewhere quickly. The car hits a deer that is moving fast because it cannot stop in time. The deer flips 40 times in the air and falls. The car comes to a complete stop. This is a tragic and unexpected accident that happens very often on American roads.
A deer thought about it and decided to jump in front of a motorcyclist riding down the road. The deer suddenly jumps on him. Shocked by the violent collision, the driver is terrified because blood has splattered on his helmet, and he quickly leaves the scene. We must be careful on the roads. As a car was driving along the side of the road, a wild boar suddenly poked its head out from the side of the road. When the boar collided with the car, it remained under the car for a short time, but surprisingly managed to escape and run away. This was a close call for both the resilient boar and the driver. The kangaroo scared the motorcycle gang. The kangaroo collides with one of the motorcycles, causing a violent crash. The front part of one of the motorcycles is completely destroyed and broken. What began as an exciting journey turns into a surprising encounter with nature. Monkeys were swinging around in a playful manner after climbing up an electric pole. One of them started to slide perilously near the live wires. It briefly appeared as though it might be electrocuted. In the hopes that the child wouldn't make a fatal error, everyone in the audience held their breath. Family is enjoying the taste of home, but that taste is stuck in their throats as they slowly drive along a forest road at lunchtime in an orange car. Suddenly, a dog runs out in front of the car. Surprisingly, even though the driver honks the horn to warn it, the dog does not stop. On the contrary, it starts running even faster and becomes very angry. Instead, it deliberately collided with the side of the car, resulting in minor damage and noticeable scratches. As the car drove away, the family inside was shocked by the dog's unexpected behavior. At night, while a car was driving along a dark road, the driver was talking to his wife on the phone. Suddenly, a horse appeared. The driver was very startled. After hitting the horse, the car was completely damaged in the collision and caused serious damage. The car's bonnet was dented. The police officer was rushing to respond to an emergency, driving fast with his sirens blaring on a dark road. Suddenly, a deer jumped out in front of the car. The officer didn't have time to react and hit the deer. The car sustained significant damage, and after the collision, the officer rolled over several times, preventing him from continuing to the emergency scene. This unforeseen incident caused a delay in the response and highlighted the unpredictability of encountering wild animals, even for emergency vehicles. You can't see anything on the road, and you'd be scared if someone came out. A black car was driving down the road. A deer jumped in front of the car, and the driver slammed on the brakes just in time. The deer kept running across the road and narrowly escaped the car, disappearing into the darkness of the night. A car is speeding down the road, but it is pitch black everywhere except for the car's headlights. A kangaroo suddenly leaps out of the darkness. The driver swerved sharply to the left to avoid a direct collision, but the kangaroo struck the right side of the car. The impact created a noticeable dent, symbolizing another unfortunate accident that had occurred on the road. An ambulance was speeding down the road, with its sirens blaring, because a pregnant woman was trying to catch up with it. An antelope suddenly jumped onto the road. The ambulance hit the animal, and blood splattered on the windscreen. Despite being shocked and shaken, the driver had to continue because he knew that a life was still depending on him. A car was driving at breakneck speed along a pitch-black road to get to work on time. Suddenly, a cow appeared in the middle of the road. The driver couldn't see the animal and hit it. The animal was dragged along for a while. Surprisingly, the cow walked away unharmed, but the man's nose was bleeding from the impact. A family in a white car is singing cheerfully as they drive across a bridge. Suddenly, a monkey jumps onto the bridge from the forest. The driver tries to stop but hits the monkey. He didn't mean to hit it and feels sorry. They seem to continue on their way. However, the car slows down and stops a little further ahead. This incident takes place on a street, but the street is in India. Among the vehicles moving smoothly in traffic, a monkey suddenly starts running towards a road where cars are passing. The car suddenly changes direction, flips dramatically, and as the driver loses control in shock, thick smoke rises from the engine. The driver is in one place, the car in another. People stand in shock, and chaos erupts on the street. A large bus that witnesses the collision immediately pulls over to the side. Passers-by rush to help the people involved. What began as an ordinary day transforms into a scene dominated by compassion and panic. Several animals have settled on the tracks and are eating there, blocking the train's path as it tries to leave the station. The train repeatedly sounds its horn loudly to scare them away. As the animals slowly began to move away, the tracks were cleared. After the tracks were cleared, the train proceeded to its destination. However, immediately after the train passed, the animals returned to the tracks and went back to their original positions. A car is driving along a road surrounded by dense forest on both sides. Suddenly, a wild boar emerges from the forest and starts running towards the car. The driver is unable to react in time and hits the boar. They quickly stop the car and get out to see how much damage has been done. More importantly, they notice that the wild boar is lying nearby, but the front bumper has been torn off and cannot be reattached. They carefully check and are surprised to find that the boar is still alive. They treat the animal kindly, ensuring its safety, and carefully return it to the forest before continuing their journey. It is evening, and a car is traveling down a dark road. The driver is on his way home after finishing work, exhausted and eager to relax. Two untamed boars unexpectedly appear in front of him as he keeps walking down the peaceful road. He honks the horn twice, startled but composed. The boars stop, glance in the direction of the car, and then slowly back off the road. The driver sighs with relief and drives on through the night without stopping. A deer stands beside the railway track, but there is bad news. A train is approaching at high speed. Curiously, it extends its head towards the railway track for a moment. The deer somersaults in the air because the train hit it too fast and finally falls into the forest. Unable to stop, the train continues on its way, leaving only silence behind. The modern single-carriage train of the new generation is speeding along the tracks, passing through peaceful rural areas and heading out to pick up other carriages. However, the driver has not noticed a group of kangaroos standing on the tracks. This is because there is a junction ahead that he has not yet passed. The person driving the train sees them and applies the brakes just before a potential disaster. The train comes to a noisy halt. The kangaroo herd moves off the tracks because the person driving the train honked the horn loudly. After a few tense seconds, the train slowly increases its speed and continues its journey, narrowly avoiding disaster. A car was traveling at 150 kilometers of River in the left lane of the motorway. A deer suddenly jumped over the dividing wall and deliberately jumped in front of the car from the other side of the road. The collision was inevitable, and the driver was very surprised and then braked. But it was too late. The deer collided with the windscreen, shattering it, and the front of the car was crushed. The car slowed down, causing a chain reaction accident as the car behind it collided with it. The driver, shaken but unharmed, quickly steered the car into the far right emergency lane. A train was traveling along a snowy track to deliver coal. As the train cut through the white landscape, two cows appeared on the tracks. The driver slammed on the brakes. One cow managed to escape just in time, but the other did not. The cow that escaped ran to the right, while the other tumbled and fell there. The train came to a stop shortly after, and the crew got out to check if the animal had survived the collision. As they approached the injured cow, the snow continued to fall lightly. In front of a long white passenger train, there was a cow on the tracks that had never been there before. Hoping the animal would move, the conductor quickly sounded the horn. The train hit it because it was moving slowly. The cow's remains flew through the air and fell to the ground due to the impact. The passengers inside the train had mixed reactions. Some shouted in shock while others laughed. Another tragic incident involves a train. There are two cows in the area, one standing on the tracks near the trees and the other standing next to the fence on one side of the tracks. The cow by the fence is eager to cross to the other side because its friend is there. However, it ignores the approaching train. The cow somersaults in the air and falls to the ground. This scene reminds us that animals are unaware of the dangers posed by high-speed trains. Two antelopes appeared on the tracks, and the driver said it was ridiculous, but he tried to stop and hit the brakes. The other one was less fortunate. It got stuck under the train, but the first one escaped just in time. The other one was slower, but the first one was as fast as a cheetah. As this tragic scene unfolds, it serves as a stark reminder of how vulnerable these helpless animals are when they find themselves near railway tracks. It takes place in Canada, and a train is traveling on a snow-covered track. The engineer honks the horn very hard for one reason. He sees a lot of animals on the track, but unfortunately, it's too late. The driver slams hard on the brakes, but it is impossible to stop, and tragically, the whole herd is tragically run over. We can see how helpless the animals are. A speeding car ran straight through a group of sheep that were crossing the road. As the animals dispersed in all directions, some were struck while others barely made it out. The tranquil moment descended into mayhem. On an otherwise peaceful road, nobody anticipated seeing this tragic scene. "Hello, sir." Suddenly, one of the employees screamed, and everyone was working there, and they said what happened. A deer had broken the window of the store and entered. Everyone started running after the deer. When the deer slipped and fell to the floor, things toppled over. Finally, after a few turbulent minutes, they managed to get it out. It was a frightening and unforgettable scene. The cars are traveling very slowly on a two-way road surrounded by dense forest. No one could predict what would happen next. A deer suddenly burst out of the forest and, having planned a perfect jump, jumped very well, so smoothly and high that everyone was amazed. It was an awe-inspiring moment that made everyone realize how irregular nature can be. This time, on a quiet forest road, a BMW was traveling smoothly, but little did it know what was about to happen. Suddenly, 3 deer jumped on the car, one after the other, causing a shocking scene. The owner must have been very upset because the car was scratched and scratched. It was a chaotic moment that no one would expect in such a peaceful environment. A tragic event is about to take place while a train is calmly traveling along the tracks. A shepherd loses control of a cow and it goes to graze on the railway. The shepherd starts to run after the cow to avoid danger. However, as the shepherd approaches the cow, someone else follows him. Unfortunately, the train does not stop in time and all 3 are crushed. Here, the shepherd is to blame, a tragic reminder of how easily calm moments can turn deadly when they are close to the railway tracks. Every day, thousands of animals unknowingly step into danger on roads and railways designed for speed, not for life. While some drivers slow down or swerve to protect them, many moments end in tragedy. These aren't just accidents, they are warnings. Warnings that nature and human progress often collide. But we can change that. With better awareness, stronger protections, and smarter planning, we can build a world where both people and animals travel safely. Don't ignore the signs. Let's drive with care and compassion. Share your thoughts below. How can we protect wildlife on our roads and rails? And remember, one small action can prevent the next heartbreaking scene. Follow us and click the red subscribe button to see new accidents like this. If such things amuse you, let's meet in the comments.